I remember the summer of 1973, getting out of high school and trying to figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to be. And I thought I was just about as confused as I was the year before. I knew I didn't really want to go to college. I knew I didn't really want to get a full-time job. I think I just wanted to party with my friends and have a good time and spend time with my girlfriend and just kind of be a slacker. Well, back then it was really, really easy to be a slacker. There was 6 factories hiring at the time: Goodyear, Cushman, Bruning, Hy-Gain, and the list goes on and on. And you could basically go get a job. If you had a heartbeat, they'd hire you. The jobs paid about 30% more than minimum wage, and they always had an incentive too, so you could make $7 to $8 an hour back 40 years ago. Well, now all those jobs are gone. All the factories are closed. And society has changed a lot. Help wanted signs have been replaced by homeless, please help, thank you, God bless. Well, I wanted to talk about the power of signs for just a minute. I decided that I wanted to hitchhike to California in June of 1973. Go visit my aunt and my 2 cousins and see some of the destinations that I went and visited in 1965 when I was 10 years old. Pacific Ocean Park, that's a good one. Visited on YouTube. America has changed. Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, Universal Studios, Grauman's Chinese Theater, Griffith Park Observatory. I wanted to go experience those things that seemed so long ago, even though it had only been 8 years. And I held a sign, and I hitchhiked all the way to Los Angeles, California. And I never stood over 5 minutes. Yes, I was a long-haired hippie back then, with soft features, pretty blonde hair, and I never worried once about getting abducted, beat up, or abused. Matter of fact, most people that picked me up, many people that picked me up, offered to share some of their stash, if you know what I mean. Everybody was happy, everybody had money. Even if you didn't work, you had money. But boy, how things change. Well, to make a long story short, I never stood over 5 minutes with my thumb out waiting for a ride. Never more than 5 minutes. There was another hitchhiker that told me the story about the sign that said please. And he said, you're never going to stand for over 5 minutes because if you're polite and you ask nicely, people can identify with that. Well, that was then, and this is now. I made it to my destination in California in a very short period of time. I stayed there for about 3 or 4 days, got homesick for my girlfriend, bought a plane ticket, and flew back to Nebraska. But I learned a lot that trip. Many, many little stories became a big part of my memory in the summer of 1973. Well, today after I got out of church, my wife and I spotted this guy, and he really looked embarrassed and dejected. He was holding a sign, and it said, Father of 4 needs help. And at the bottom it said, please. The sign caught my eye. My wife was driving, and I said, honey, there's a guy back there. He needs some help. Let's stop and see what's going on. Well, there was no place to turn around. I said, I'll just go up a couple more blocks. We need to go back and see what is going on with this guy, because he looked so almost embarrassed. He was pretty well dressed, and again, it was a Sunday morning. And we drove around and parked in the business that was there, a bank, and he came walking over, And I could see the embarrassment in his eyes, that it was something that he never did very often. You know, he's one of hundreds of thousands of people in America today that have been reduced to nothingness. On every street corner, even in my town of 45,000 people, it seems like there's somebody holding a sign. Can't pay my rent. Hungry. Can't find a job. Family of two. And of course you have to be very, very careful, because if there's a lot of people like me and you out there that care honestly about people, unlike some of the entities we know of, you'd like to help everybody. I tell my wife I wish I could win the lottery and win $10 million. I'd want to give most of it away. It'd be so much fun just driving around, talking to people and hearing their stories. Or would it be fun reliving their horror of being unemployed for 3 or 4 years, losing everything that they worked for, losing their home in 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, and now 15's coming up rapidly. Well, I asked this guy, I says, what's going on? He said, we're on vacation and my car broke down on I-17. The fuel pump went out. We just had enough money to make it back to Salt Lake City, Utah. He's a family guy from Salt Lake City, Utah. I knew he was a Mormon. And you know what? I don't have anything against anybody and their belief system. And I'm not really out to change anybody, because I think that if somebody wants to be changed in their belief system, that there's somebody more powerful than me that might be able to help them along. I'm just kind of a worker ant. Well, I asked him, I says, how much money do you need? So I didn't want to give him $5 or $10 and didn't help him get any further than where he was standing. He had an exact number. He says, $87.50. You see, he had figured up how much money he had and how much money it was going to take him for gasoline. He was lucky he was able to get his car towed and fixed, but that left him and his 4 children and his wife in a dingy motel room across the street. I had already taken a $100 bill out of my pocket. I had an extra $100 bill at the time in my pocket. I never usually give anybody more than $5 or $10. But for some reason, seeing this downcast father of 4 standing, holding a sign, and looking so helpless, so long-faced, so embarrassed. That's the word, embarrassed. Humiliated. I think that's what a lot of Americans and people in this world, feel today, is humiliated, embarrassed. They've lost their hope. They've lost their dream. I have to remind myself many times that this world is just a temporary thing that I'm experiencing. Temporary experience. That there's something much, much greater out there. Something much, much bigger than myself. And throughout my lifetime, I have a firm belief that I have a perfect idea of what that is. And I find myself at the age of almost 59, reflecting more forward and less backward. Oh yeah, I'm a sum of my past. But I don't want to dwell on my past anymore, because my past is pretty much getting more over than there's more ahead of me. I'm not going to live another 59 years. I don't know if I'm going to live another 20 years. I hope I can live another 10 years. And I hope I can just keep getting by like the way that I've been getting by, because God has been good to me. Despite numerous health issues, despite my children getting autism, despite a lot of challenges, there have been a lot of blessings. You know, it's always funny too to look at the faces of people in other countries. You can see how they live and where they live, and they usually always have a smile on their face. And the children are happy, even though they might only have one set of clothing, and their floors in their home are dirt, and there may not even be electricity, but the people, the families, seem to be much happier than the people that have just the opposite of that, that have plenty. And that's sometimes hard to figure out. I know it's real easy to say that, you know, we are so blessed and we don't appreciate it, and sometimes I wonder if I'm so blessed and I don't appreciate it as much as I should. It seems like there's a fear that has permeated humanity, especially to those that live in developing nations that have had so much for so long, that have been so blessed. Well, I guess that is my time signal to go, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and God bless.